Yeah, I don't know if this is bad, but I'm like sometimes busting out pre-approvals, have the headphones, them listening to like EDM music and just like.
No, it's great. Yeah, whatever vibe like puts you in the mode.
Dude, gets you fired up. Yeah. You're reviewing these bank statements, these pay stubs, and you're just like.
I was doing that. These days I've been listening to my cowboy country. But for a while, I was listening to like 90s and 2000s, like alternative rock.
Yeah.
By the way, that stuff's coming back. And I'm really happy about it.
Unfortunately.
It is a little.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
No, unfortunately, it left.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason.
Okay. Yeah, right on. Rock and roll music, rap rock, metal rock, it's coming back. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. Ooh, Caleb, can we shut that door a little bit? Or Harrison? Thanks. Like Limp Bizkit, you know, like new waves, new generations of listeners are finding Limp Bizkit, and I'm really happy about that. And like he's performing again.
Did Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water?
I listened to it on
awesome album.
Right, listen to it on the ride over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to like I'm on the spot here, but like there's so many. I feel like things that just like they'll come and go, but they're always there.
Yeah,
and they always will be there.
T Swift hasn't left
yet.
Do you still like Taylor Swift as much as you used to? No. Yeah.
The golden age of Taylor Swift was like 2009 to 2021, 16.
You basically outgrew her listener like target range.
Yeah.
You became an adult.
Yeah.
And now she no longer resonates with you.
It was like innocent and fun, and now it's like, yeah, I'm a little older and I'm no longer a teenage girl.
Hey, welcome to the show, bro.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me here. I'm fired up.
So what do you want to talk about today?
I mean, I guess real estate or
just a couple of real estate bros on a podcast. You, bro, we're downtown. Here, the development, just like we were talking about on the elevator ride up, like all these buildings are just like brand new in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so I started in 2019 in the industry, and our office has always been here. And so when I first started, like that apartment building above TD Garden, not even there. Hub Hall, not even there. And like even when you go further down the street, all that development and new apartment buildings, not even there. So it's kind of cool to see the West End and particularly kind of really build up. And then obviously now you got the State Street building we were talking about that just finished in the last year, 6 months or whatever. So it's interesting because you're always seeing like these things, and obviously they're building up. There's nowhere else to really build other than up. Speaking
of State Street, so, you know, they moved their headquarters from that. If you're coming up 93 in that really cool building, like that, that had the State Street sign on it. Now it's some other company.
It's a private equity firm.
The company, the sign that's up there.
Yeah.
Well, State Street moved their headquarters to the new building here above Government Center. And I guess now that building's going up, the old State Street building's going up for auction.
Is it going up for auction like very soon, or did a private equity firm buy it and now it's going up for auction and they can't hold it?
Maybe I was reading something dated, but it was some sort of distress with the building.
I think, well, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this because obviously after COVID, nobody shows up to work like the same way. All these office spaces are kind of going like vacant, and the city of Boston is actually pretty scared because they've lost so much value in their commercial real estate right now. Buildings are trading for 30, 40, 50% of what they were bought like right before COVID. And now they're losing all of this taxable revenue from their commercial market. And now they're trying to pass it on to homeowners in Boston, just making it more expensive. And like, I don't know, what was it, like the Boston Globe or something was talking about like a doom loop for Boston real estate?
I'm not sure. I'll see if I can find an article.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to say the least. Because we were even talking about this. So I have a really, really good friend that went to high school with my dad. He's obviously quite a bit older than me, but he owns a restaurant in the West End, and you know, you're seeing restaurants shut down in the West End. I was talking to him like, you know, what's going on? What are you seeing out there? And he's like, nobody wants to go out and eat anymore. Nobody wants to go out and drink. Like, because I mean, you go to a bar and get a mixed drink, it's what, like $15-$20 now
So
a drink.
expensive.
So you get 5 drinks, that's $100 plus tip and all that other stuff. So it's definitely a struggle on that end. But he was telling me the State Street building they just built is like about 50% occupied. Like there's a few companies in there, like big companies, but I mean, they just created that.
That's the PlayStation 5 building. Looks like a PS5.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But like, I wouldn't be surprised. I know they're like trying to obviously have more housing, things of that nature. Like they auction that off. All right, let's say that somebody does buy it and wants to make it into apartment buildings, let's say. From a lot of people I've talked to, like developers and like people that like have some more pull in the city. I mean, a lot of these, as you know, are not even up to code. Like they were built in like 70s, 80s, 90s. The code wouldn't even be like they wouldn't be able to just convert those like that to apartment buildings. So some people are saying that I've talked to that they should honestly, like some of these buildings, they're better off knocking them down and starting from scratch versus trying to convert them. And I know like they're trying to incentivize people with like the tax, advantages and stuff like that. You do convert it to housing, but like I said, that's a lot of money. And with obviously all the building costs, and you talk about what's going on in LA and North Carolina and Florida. And even on top of that, like all the ADU stuff they're starting to present in mass. So it's like, I don't see building costs coming down soon. Then obviously all the, getting materials from other countries, all that jazz.
I think ADUs are going to be the next, they're here to stay, and I think they're going to be a big boom. I think a lot of builders and developers are going to be doing a lot of ADUs soon.
I would not disagree with that. I just think the building cost piece, because like somebody told me this and I looked into it, and out in LA, they've been doing this for like the last like 5+ years. So like ADUs have become a big thing out there. But from what I was told, and obviously I'm going off what somebody told me, I don't know the truth behind this, is that it got a huge pop right away and then it kind of fizzled out. I mean, as you know, in Boston, it's, either 900 square feet max or 50% of the gross living area, whichever is less.
Right. Well, what was that lady yesterday saying that there was like 200, it was like they needed 200,000 additional dwelling units, like housing in Massachusetts in the next, how many years?
10 years or something
like that.
Yeah.
And like, there's no way to keep up with that demand. Not when it takes you 2 years to get a 3-family permitted next to a row of 3 families in the city of Boston. Like,
Yeah.
there's like, it's antiquated at best.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to an attorney that is actually on the board for a city outside of Boston that like is involved with these decisions with the ADUs. And he was also saying, which I thought was interesting, if somebody has an illegal unit, let's say it's a 2-family with an illegal 3rd unit, they're like giving the opportunity for them to say, hey, let's make that a legal 3rd unit and bring it up to code. Now, obviously you and I, or all 3 of us, can agree that if it's like the ceilings are ridiculously low, there's only so much you can do, but they also
rent to shorter people.
But like, it's they're trying to make like say, hey, if you have an illegal unit, let's make it legal. Let's bring it up to code and make it an official unit, which I thought was a really cool opportunity for some people.
Yeah. Stop giving yourself a title issue every time you want to sell the property.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
my bad. I don't know how to turn off all my devices.
Harrison's a popular man. Harrison's a popular man. Yeah, I think it's going to be weird. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think Boston got nearly the feedback and the results they were hoping for by offering to convert these commercial spaces to residential. I think they were kind of underwhelmed by the response.
I think the builders know that the construction is, like you said, it's incredibly high for that, and it's almost cheaper to take it down.
And you probably have to go union, like inside the city with some of these big buildings.
Yeah.
And like, I had a buddy who was a union painter, and he was like talking about how he slept for 4 hours a day on the job. He still got his work done, but he would work like 4 days a week, and he pulled like 110 grand a year. And I'm like, how does anybody afford to pay this? Like that expense, if you're paying your painters 120 grand a year, 110 grand a year, you have to pass that expense on to somebody. That's the buyer. Yeah. That's the renter. Because like when we're looking at expenses on the residential front and the smaller piece where like we're not triggering any union labor discussion, like we're working with more normal pricing, not 120 grand.
Right.
That's just one painter.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
but good for dude. If I was starting over, I would say get a trade, join a union, invest in Section 8.
Dude, my tenant's Section 8, and they're like the best tenants. Like, get this. So she literally, like, so my office is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, and my office is above one of their bedrooms. And she said, hey, are we too loud down there? I know your office is above there on the phone. Like, if you want us to, like, turn down the TV or whatever, like, text me. I'm like, that's awesome. Because I was thinking the other way around. I was like, oh, I hope, like, me being above them isn't a problem because I'm, like, the loudest talker ever. So,
What'd you say?
Where's your, is it 2-family?
2-family.
Where is it?
Wakefield. So it's
Okay.
a mile from the lake, like 5 minutes to Reading Center. I'm right near the highway. I can be no traffic, but like we talked about, there's never no traffic. It's like 15 minutes or so to get into Boston.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah,
Back-
Wakefield's a good area. Did you consider non-Section 8 tenants?
So I actually inherited them.
Oh, okay.
So part of the offer getting accepted is they have to stay there through the end of their lease, but I actually re-signed their lease because they're awesome.
Right.
If it's not broken, why fix it?
Totally.
Yeah, save yourself the
Totally.
turnover expense. Were you able to get it? And I don't know how under market it was, but were you able to get it to more what you would have wanted, like more market rate for the unit?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I literally am actually slightly above market.
That was my next question is that in our market, you know, for a lot of our buildings, Section 8 will it's based on the average rent for like the entire zip code.
Yeah.
So like your particular building or our particular building, whatever, it may not be in the most desirable neighborhood, but because it's sort of associated with an entire zip code, you can get more from a Section 8 housing authority tenant. They'll pay more than what, you know, if they pay $1,500, but you just rent it to, you know, a market rate tenant. Your non-subsidy tenant, you might be getting $1,200 or $1,300.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the unit's perfect. It's spotless. They literally treat it like it's their own home. And I mean, it's just crazy, like what rent's going for these days. And I mean, obviously it's a great zip code. It's a perfect location.
Do you have a boat? You said you're close to the lake. You have a boat?
Well, there's a yacht club and they have sailboats. So
Let's
if you want to
go.
go sailing,
I do. I really want to sponsor a sailboat with Wollaston. I want to put our logo on a sailboat, and I want to take lessons. I want to learn how to sail. Anybody out there watching that knows how to sail, take us out. I really want to learn how to sail. I'll buy some Sperry's.
So you know who knows how to sail and has a sailboat is Peter.
Yeah, he invited
gotta
you
wear
out.
vineyard vines.
He
too.
invited you out. He did not invite me out. Let the record show.
But you clearly have never been to the Wakefield Lake. If you're asking me, do I have a boat on the Wakefield
No,
Lake?
I
There's
haven't. No, I
boats.
haven't. No, I like.
Is it Lake Quannapowitt?
Quannapowitt.
Quannapowitt. Yeah, I did my best.
We have weird names in this state.
All Native American names.
Yeah.
It's a man-made lake. I don't know why they named it that, but
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue, but sachem is a Native American word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
It's like a good one too, like leader, like
yeah,
was it like Chief Quannapowitt?
something chief, like
there's some other words that are similar to that name areas or regions or lakes or whatever.
It's right
all
near the
Native
Jordan's
American.
Furniture. It's like on the other side of the highway. So actually, it's
yeah.
interesting too. Like in terms of just like when you talk about units, like so there's like a lot of people, especially in the summer, walk around the Lakefield Lake. I love it. It's awesome. And so there used to be a couple of buildings, which there still is one office building. They had a ton of parking, like a whole parking lot. They got rid of the parking lot, and I think they're putting something like 800 units. And I was told they're also going to put, so it's like right on the other, literally on the other side of Jordan's Furniture. There's going to be a bunch of apartment buildings right there. I was told they're also putting some restaurants in there, so it'll be kind of mixed use.
800 units, you have to bring some amenities. Like you got to bring some accompanying businesses.
Yeah, so that, so that'll be interesting to see. That's kind of like mid-process. And then even like going, like sometimes I'll go take Route 1 into work, and like all up and down Route 1, they're like putting in these massive apartment buildings. So it'll be interesting to see, because like I'll go Route 1 to avoid traffic because you have the toll there, et cetera. Because like 93 and 95 can sometimes be a headache. So you think about, the 5-10 years down the line, if you're adding in these buildings that are like hundreds and hundreds of units all up and down Route 1, that's like probably going to be just as bad at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Route 1 is pretty brutal. I'm surprised to hear you say you take Route 1 to avoid traffic.
Yeah, because it's less traffic than 93
really?
and 95.
Wow. Yeah, we never really came from the North Shore much in the mornings, so.
I remember when you were driving to Newburyport, West Newbury, and then you had to drive back down to Quincy.
A lot. It was horrible.
Sometimes you had like a 3-hour commute.
I would do so there was a point in time where we had projects on the South Shore. Like we had one in it was like Hanson. I think maybe we had one in Quincy. Brockton, East Boston, Brookline, and like West Newbury and Newburyport. Some sort of combination of like those towns. And I would have a scheduled like 2 or 3 days a week where I would do all site visits. And I would spend like 15 to 30 minutes on a site. And then the rest of my time would be driving between them. I remember I would hit like 6 a day. And I'd leave at like 7 in the morning and get back at like 6 p.m.
Is when you lived in Providence, you said?
No, this was living in Quincy.
Oh, okay. It's not, would you start like North Shore, Boston, South Shore, and then go back to your house? Or maybe in a perfect world. But
yeah, I think I would go like South Shore, to Brookline, to Boston, to North Shore, to back, something like that. It was, I just remember it was a ton of time in the car.
Yeah.
I feel like 6+ hours a day in the car.
Yeah, that's
lots of project management going on.
Yeah, less efficient at that time. So what are you doing most of now, like in your business?
To start off the year, it's been very, very busy. Like a lot of people reaching out about like getting pre-approved. Whether they're buying their first property, I've definitely been seeing a lot of people like, hey, we've owned our home for this amount of time. We have kids now. We're outgrowing it. We want to move to our next home. So definitely a lot of that, a lot of conversations. But this is the inventory. We're now in mid-March. So, we should really start to see a little pop.
Yeah.
As we do most years around this time. We were talking about this earlier. I had one client that put in an offer this past weekend. Granted, the house was very underpriced. Single family in Hyde Park, and there was 58 offers on that property.
What was it listed for?
Huh?
What was it listed for?
About $680. And
that's under market.
Was it in good condition?
Yeah. And we went in $70K over, and they said we didn't even make it to the next round. Wow. And I found out through somebody I talked to that somebody in their company also had a client that put in an offer $100K over, and they didn't get it either.
And they listed it for $680.
So they must have gone somewhere with an 8 in front of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, which is bananas. But I guess there's not a lot in Hyde Park, especially single families. They're kind of unicorns, mainly condos, multis.
Single families are unicorns.
For sure.
So I think you've got to factor that in as well. But like I said, I think brighter times are ahead. What I've been really focusing on, and you got to be unique in this market, because if you're just doing the same things that you did 5 years ago, then you're going to be left dead in the water. So, your average home across the US equity wise is an all-time high right now, right? So how do you tap into that equity, and what strategies? Because our capital markets guy, Jeff Panzer, has been nothing short of amazing about adding on new loan products and changing guidelines to existing products to best serve clients, because you have to be constantly changing in a changing market. So I'm doing a lot of like equity strategies with clients to like pull money out, whether it's consolidating debt of like 20 to 30% interest credit cards, or, you know, somebody even these auto loans and private student loans are crazy. You know, pulling out money for home improvements, whether it's adding on an ADU, or I had a family end of last year, and what they did is they pulled money out. They're now a family of 5, went from a family of 4 to a family of 5. They financially, I mean, I helped them refi. They were in the low 3s. So they pulled an equity line, added on a bedroom and bathroom addition onto the onto the back of their house. So they're staying in their house, and they were able to tap into their equity for that. And I even had a client who pulled out an equity line, 3-family he's owned since 2018, primary, doubled in value, used that equity line as a down payment, bought a 3-family in Fitchburg with a DSCR loan. And he not only, that rent roll is not only covering his mortgage and the HELOC, but he's cash flowing $600 a month and also gets all the tax benefits as well. So I think that there definitely are deals to be made in every market. Obviously, some markets are more than others, right? But I think there definitely are situations where people can find properties that the numbers pencil out.
Nice. I had a question, but I lost it.
Where'd it go?
I'll think about it.
How many loans are you closing on average, like a month?
I mean, every month's a little different. I'd probably say somewhere in like the 5 to 10 range right now.
Right on.
Yeah.
How do you like working for yourself?
Dude, I don't think I could ever go back after working for myself. I mean, you can set I think there's good and bad, right? I think like anything in life, there's whatever you do for work, there's good and bad. You know, I love obviously setting my own schedule, but obviously like this past weekend, I got back from New York on Sunday and immediately went on my computer and did a 1-day pre-approval for somebody. And I was working for like 2 or 3 hours on a Sunday. You got to do what you got to do, right? But also too, like setting boundaries. I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier, is like, where do you like set boundaries? Because you obviously need to have a life too, right?
What's
like,
that?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out myself. Still trying to figure that out.
I remember what my question was now, actually, because it was related to the underwriting and the pre-approvals. So I like to think, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not a loan originator, but from what I gather, especially on the commercial side, is loan officers or originators, brokers, I don't know exactly like how you necessarily define one or the other, or what like.
I mean, it's all the same shit at the end of the day.
It is. Yeah, it is what you care to go by. But I like to think of them as like professional organizers. So
Yeah,
like,
of course,
because your clients, like, they're never giving you everything that you ask for. Or number one, you're lucky if they give you everything you ask for.
Yeah.
Number two, it's like disorganized, or it's coming in multiple emails, or like, you know, shit is like labeled wrong, or you can't really read something. And then you have to take that information and put it into whatever you're using to underwrite their pre-approval.
Right.
So my question is there, I mean, it's a very hot topic, AI, or like these AI systems that are automating a lot of the the administrative work. Do you see anything like that in your business to that's sort of helps accelerate that process and get and take a lot of that, like take that hour or 2 hours worth of administrative work off of your plate and accelerate that to like 15 to 30 minutes.
So that's actually a great topic, and my bank, First Community Mortgage, has done a really good job about adding on new technology. So I started at this bank, or switched over to this bank, about 1.5 years ago.
And what bank is it?
First Community Mortgage.
Okay.
So obviously we're all Boston born, raised, my whole branch. They're based out of Tennessee, and I'm licensed nationwide, which is huge. Like I just did January, I did a loan in Hoover, Alabama.
Dude.
Super random, but I had a client who had a single family in Beverly, rented that out and moved there because they would basically get a huge pay increase and they move closer to their clients, which are based out of Alabama. So it worked out super well, and it was amazing.
Bet you get a bit more house there too for your buck.
Is it pretty
Yeah.
common for is it pretty common for loan officers to be licensed in all 50 states?
No, so it's actually very uncommon. So
You think it'd be a no-brainer because, you know, you're not like as a real estate agent, right? Like you're having to physically be at a listing or be at showings and things. It would be much more challenging to do that nationwide. But as a loan officer, the majority of your work is done from the office, I assume.
Right, exactly.
So you're not out having to physically be in places.
Right, exactly. So I work for a federally chartered bank. So that just means that they're a depository institution. They have a banking side. And because they can do banking in all 50 states, I'm automatically licensed nationwide through that. So I'm a federally chartered loan officer. That's all that means. It's not like, oh, I have more or less guidelines I have to follow. We all follow the same guidelines where somebody that works at like a mortgage company, for example, they're state licensed. So basically that means that they have to pass the exam. They got to do, pay fees to be licensed in every state they want to be licensed in. And then they have to, do continuing education, renew that every single year, which is why you'll see people be in Mass, maybe other New England states, maybe Florida. And unless they have some niche in some other state, that's really about it. So like, I've even gotten referrals from other loan officers that like I had one at a cross country mortgage, and she's like, hey, like this is a friend of mine. I know, like, and trust you. I know you do a good job. Instead of referring this to some random person in my company, I'd rather refer it to you. So I helped her friend buy a single family home in West Virginia.
Cool.
And it's like, who do you know that can do a loan in West Virginia or Hoover, Alabama?
Right. Cool.
That's crazy. That's good for you, man. That's exciting. How competitive is your industry?
I mean, especially right now, less transactions across the country, meaning smaller pie, means everybody's fighting over that piece of pie, right? So like, it's obviously been super competitive. I think you've also seen since COVID more of like an online presence, which is why like having a Google page and having some of these things online is super important. But I wanted to answer your question earlier about the AI. I feel like we got off the beaten path a little bit. We've been using AI to underwrite loan files since I already got to the company. They've only been perfecting it. So how that works, because like immediately like you think, oh, people are going to lose their job, like they're going to cut on cost, but that's definitely not the case. So basically they send it to a third-party provider. They underwrite it with AI. Then we have an underwriter in our company jump in and make sure it was ran correctly. Then they kick it back. So the whole concept is that we can touch way more files in a day.
Right.
And we even have like green light plus pre-approval. So it's basically a fully underwritten file, only contingent on appraisal, backed by a $5,000 guarantee to the seller that if we don't close on time, we'll give the seller $5,000 and that can get written to the offer. So it's like being different and unique and standing out. So that's been huge. So our conditional approvals are 24 to 48 hours.
Cool.
It's quick, yeah.
So wait, if you close like 3 days behind schedule, you pay them $5,000?
Yeah. I mean, that's written into the offer, but I mean, knock on wood, it's been like a year and change, and like it's been a year and change, and we haven't given out any money yet. So,
really?
Yeah, average close time is 21 days.
That's amazing.
It is.
I imagine there's some sort of there's some nuance in there for like if it's not your fault that you don't close on time.
Honestly,
I mean, you might be right. I'm not 100% sure, but I haven't had any issues. I've done a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So what kind of packages are out there right now for like people that I feel like the cost of acquiring a home is harder than ever
right
now, whether it's a single family or a condo. What are some like creative packages for people that are helping them get into a house?
So I'm going to answer that question, but one other thing I wanted to mention on the AI piece really quick is we started offering 2 months ago, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I always feel like that's a tongue twister. So
you have to just say it enough times. And I'm like, yeah, Chat GPT. I use it a lot.
Hold on, say it 5 times fast.
So we have a guideline guru is what it's called. And it's basically Chat GPT, but for loan scenarios. So like, for example, if I'm like, what's the minimum down payment for FHA, whatever. We'll just say that. Then I can like type it in, click it, and then it loads like Chat GT. See, I told you, tongue twister. And it basically kicks out the answer and a link to exactly where it is in the guidelines. So
In
like
your company's guidelines, or like,
well, like for example, if it's like all right, actually I'll use a perfect example because I looked this up the other day. Obviously condos have become a lot. You got to like really double check things with all the insurance, blah, blah, blah. So I had a scenario where like one person had owned multiple units in the association. So I looked up, what in a 20 up to 20 unit association, what's the max number of units one person can own? So it gave me the answer and a link to the Fannie Freddie guidelines, exactly where that is. So I guess the whole point is leveraging technology to make the process easier and smoother and offer better customer service. So like that's something really cool too. So I think they've just been really good, my bank, about adding on and like I said, changing technology, especially as AI has evolved. And I mean, it's obviously here to stay.
yeah. So your underwriting team is using a third party service for that initial underwriting before it gets sent back to your team.
Right, exactly. For I don't know if it's like, because I'm not obviously on that side, I don't know if that's for every single loan or if it's like, I know for like conventional FHA, VA, they're definitely doing that. But when you get into like non-QM loans and some of these other ones, I don't know if they're necessarily doing that for those. At least I'm not 100% sure, but majority of them are.
Yeah. Yeah. So my like random thought is like, okay, if you get sent a bunch of PDFs and you have to search through these PDFs to find like gross pay, net pay, I don't forget what, like all the information you need for underwriting, right? But being able to put all the documents that you need from your client into a system, it's able to sort of search through the documents, pull out the information you need, and give it back to you within like 60 seconds. Does that idea kind of make sense?
No, it does.
In
Absolutely.
theory?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's how these softwares are working or.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, like I said, I'm not on the underwriting side, so I don't know like the exact, like every little bit, but I would imagine that's kind of what's being, what's going into it there.
Right.
Yeah, ChatGPT is crazy. I uploaded a document, like a 5,000 word document, and I was like, hey, write me a paragraph about this thing. And I'm like, use this document, attached it, and it just said reading, and then boop, 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 done. And then it gave me the thing, and I'm like, this is insane, the amount of content that it can just absorb immediately and then spin out. And I'm like, that sounds good to me.
It's crazy. I know some people that have literally based their vacations off of
GP.
Now I'm like, it's in my head at this point. But like some people have based their vacation around like, oh, we're going here. We're going for 5 days. These are some things we like to do. Can you give us a 5-day schedule? And they literally based it off it and had like the best vacation
100%.
ever.
Yeah.
100%.
Or even like workout plans, new meal prepping, like
Yeah, for the grocery store, totally.
like it's kind of crazy. I feel like I need to use some of that stuff more.
Just pull up the website. I actually have ChatGPT pulled up right here. Just pull up the website and just think of anything you could want to know and ask, like almost use it to replace your search engine and then you get a feel for how it works.
Right. And I know you can like really get in depth and like make flyers and posts and like do all these crazy things. Like you can basically be almost in a way, almost like an employee of your company.
Yes.
Like if you get that super in depth, but no, I mean, going off technology piece, I feel like especially in real estate, like you have to be constantly using technology and leveraging it. And even like social media is literally marketing for free because you can have thousands and thousands of followers, but you can't make thousands and thousands of calls a day.
Right. It's just like we're becoming more active on our social medias and like just put a story out. And I'm like, oh man, 550 people saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter about the likes, just matters about the views.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And so funny, like I like sometimes on some posts get like maybe 15 likes, but then like I have people that I know didn't like it were like, oh yeah, I saw your video and it was like amazing.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah,
sweet.
you get like 3, prospects from that, or something.
Yeah,
like I'm making up
yeah.
numbers, right? But
yeah, and just like humanizing it, being relatable. And I, at the end of the day, like going off technology, like there's so many things online, there's so much clickbait, blah, blah, blah. But like at the end of the day, you do have to like humanize it and be relatable. Because you can't have like a computer make up what I do or make up what you guys do or make up what a real estate agent does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a super competitive all around. I don't think, you know, to your point, like AI is not necessarily replacing people, although it's going to replace a handful of people and maybe rightfully so. But what it's doing is just making people now need to understand how to use AI. And now people that don't know how to use AI, they're getting replaced by more savvy people, employees that actually understand how to leverage it to the company's benefit. That seems to be like...
Just like cars put, you know, wagon builders out of business.
Right. Oh yeah, we were talking about whaling this morning.
That's right.
On Find That Flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't hunt whales anymore and use their oil for our electricity.
Yeah. How fossil fuels save the whales.
Yeah, fossil fuels save the
Dude,
whales.
Moby Dick.
No, yeah. Did you watch the new movie it came out a couple years ago? It was good.
No, I haven't.
That's literally where I learned.
I was actually talking about Free Willy with somebody like a week ago.
I went to
It's a tearjerker right there.
I cried when I had to leave SeaWorld when I was a kid.
Dude, I went out to San Diego. I went to the San Diego Zoo. I had in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll hit the San Diego Zoo and SeaWorld in the same day.
Nope.
No, dude, you got to get the full. I walked 11 miles
Really?
in the
Wow.
San Diego Zoo. I was not going to miss one animal.
It's one of the better zoos, I think.
I'm not going to miss one animal.
Animals in cages, how it was meant to be seen.
Oh, God. I know. I have mixed feelings about it now. What's your favorite animal?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
You can give me top 3.
Cheetah's definitely up there.
Ooh.
Cheetah.
Agile.
Hippos.
Okay.
Dude, you know how long they can hold their breath underwater for? It's kind of crazy.
No, how long?
A long time.
Longer than I remember. They're actually one of the most dangerous animals.
Dude, they're actually like very territorial.
Yeah. Have you seen any of that video, like that guy on his boat and he's in hippo water and a hippo starts to like chase after his boat and he has to, he turns the engine on to get on, but that hippo's fast.
Yeah, they're insanely fast.
Like you're dying. If
Like as fast as like, I don't know if they're as fast as a cheetah, but they're like very, very fast.
I don't think they're as fast as a cheetah.
No.
Yeah. And then, I mean, my third, damn. We'll go with the mountain goat. I feel like that's just the next thing that comes to mind.
Dude, not like Blue Mountain State. Let's go.
Mountain goat. That's right.
Shout out, Pad.
I do love the, you ever seen like, these videos of like this like goat on the side of a mountain and you're like, oh cool, it goes on the side of the mountain. And then it zooms out and it's like this insanely giant mountain and this goat in the middle of it. You're like, how did it get
they
there?
can literally like jump on like the tiniest little crevice
Yeah.
in a rock. It's like kind of wild.
Can't break my footing. If they do, they die. Yeah, I did not expect those 3 animals. I'm not going to lie. Cheetah, hippo, mountain goat. In that order?
No, you just said top 3. So I
Okay.
just rattled off 3 that I thought were cool. I mean, what do you expect me to say? Like a tiger, a lion, like a bear?
Maybe an eagle.
Lions and tigers. Tigers
Bear,
and
oh
bears.
my. I think this is a good time for our next ad.
Our first ad of the day is thank you to our newest sponsor, the Pocket Therapist, for sponsoring today's episode of the WREI podcast. Because your friends are tired of your rants. Got problems? Of course you do. But instead of venting to your dog, try the Pocket Therapist. The tiny voice recorder that responds with generic affirmations like, that must be tough, and wow, you're so strong. And it's totally their fault. Now featuring an advanced mom mode setting that tells you to drink water and get more sleep. Finally, someone who actually listens, the Pocket Therapist.
So, I saw an advertisement for a spinoff of ChatGPT replacing therapists. It was like, talk to this like your therapist. And computer will talk to you and help heal you, I guess.
So a doctor?
No, like a therapist. Like, I'm sad, I'm depressed. This is happening. And now
Let's say eat good and get exercise.
I think that's
Get sleep, drink water.
yeah. You know, yeah, I think that's probably I think that's just kind of like the basics. If you're not feeling good, get back to those basics and then reassess. I don't know. How's your mental health? Is it pretty good?
I'd say pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, you look bright and good and happy.
Bright-eyed, bushy tail. I told Harrison that's how I was going to show up today.
Is that in writing, really?
Huh?
Is that in writing? Bright-eyed and bushy tail?
I think it was on the phone. I called him. I was just confirming we're good to go.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that. My first manager at the Carolina Ale House, Greg, he said that's how you need to show up at work. I haven't heard that reference in a long time.
Bright-eyed, bushy tail.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, attitude is everything.
I used
Really
to say that
is.
David was the show when we met at like a networking event a long time ago, like probably
2019. When
I think it was an Evo event.
It was Evo event at the bar right there in Faneuil Hall.
when they had it at Faneuil Hall.
What the hell is the name of that bar though? It's right on the corner.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I've been. They have live music. It's a big college bar.
Ned Devine's.
Ned Devine's.
Yeah.
Dude,
They had it
throwback.
there, and I was like, David's like the shining. Like you walk into the room and you see like, wow, who's that bright shining star over there?
Yeah, something like that.
I need to go figure out who that is.
He's young, full of life, and not beat up by the industry too much
That's
yet.
right.
Yeah. No scars yet. Yeah, I think though, like going off of that, like, all right, so my Nana's favorite quote, and I have this on a sticky note too, is if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I'm like the biggest believer in like mindset and like manifestation. If you think positive things come to you. Now, it's so much easier said than done.
Sure.
But in our business, like, I lose deals. I have people shop me and sometimes go with other lenders. Is it frustrating? It can be because you're putting a lot of work into it and then they leave. But you just got to just keep going because there's, you know how many transactions there are in Massachusetts a year? Thousands and thousands and thousands. So it's like there's always something around the corner. If you have a positive attitude, if you stay consistent, like my branch manager is very big on consistency over intensity. If you consistently do things, it will come back to you versus just trying to be super intense and do like 1,000 things at once.
Yeah. It's a 1,000,000-mile march.
I felt like you were looking at me when you said some of your clients go with other people and they rate shop you.
Yeah.
I did rate shop
definitely.
David.
Did you?
Hey, I'll get you on the refinance. It's all good.
That's right. That's
or,
right.
Or we'll
You're-
help you pull some equity out.
Yeah, help me pull some equity. You're here on the podcast. You know, I still love you.
Oh, absolutely. I love you too, bro.
But I'm
Absolutely.
a hard client, especially if I'm in an industry where I know what I want. I will, like, if I know what I want, I know sort of like I understand like my like cost versus value and like really what I'm looking for. So sometimes that can be an easy sell, but sometimes that can be a hard sell if I know this is the one thing that I'm most concerned with, and like I understand that I'm making a decision that it's sort of against what I want to do. Like I would prefer to work with you on the transaction, but I knew that like, okay, well, this is this product, like this home loan is what I want. And I value that more than I value the person I work with at that particular time. Right.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need the lowest rate I can get.
Yeah. And going off that, it's like real estate is such a gray area. It's like the most gray area there is, in my opinion. Like nothing's black and white because like obviously rates are changing every day, every hour of every day, excuse me. And then obviously the market's been super volatile for 2+ years, 2.5, 3 years now, or soon to be. So it's such a gray area at the end of the day. And like, you know, obviously, when you talk about transaction, like there's obviously a lot that goes into it. I know like usually people look at like rate, things like that, which I understand and get, but there's so much that goes into it. Like, for example, like I call every seller's agent when we put in an offer, and that I actually have gotten at least a few offers accepted where they said our terms are very similar to somebody else, but because of how highly communicative we were that they went with us.
Totally.
So just like little things like that do make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. And like going off of technology, I actually, for every pre-approved client, I send a handwritten note and 2 brownies saying something along the lines of like, hey, Alex, like, congratulations on being pre-approved. Like, I'm super excited to start the housing process with you. Like, enjoy the brownies type thing. Something small, simple, but like little things like that, like, cause I am very grateful when somebody's like, hey, I want to get pre-approved. Can you help me? Or I get referred to somebody. Cause like for most people, like buying your first home outside of marriage and kids is probably for most people, your next biggest milestone. So like, we're talking these days, like a loan that's $500,000, $750,000, or even over $1 million. So that's not exactly an easy or light decision to make, kind of going off of your point there with like you buying your first home too.
Totally. And I'm in the industry, so I'm a little more like knowledgeable of the process versus if you're a first time home buyer. Right. You really need someone who's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
And the person I worked with that was the originator for the loan, I hated working with. But it was just like, I mean, at the time, I think rates were like 6.5%, 7%, and my rate was like 5.1.
Right. And that was like at the time where like ARMs were like really attractive. Like there was like a huge difference, but the Fed funds rate so high, there's really not that much of a difference at this time. Will that change in the future? We'll see. I mean, I don't know. In my prediction, obviously, who the hell knows? If I had a crystal ball, I'd be on my own island. I wouldn't be here right now, but as we all would. But every year they're like, rates are going to go down. Rates are going to go down. Like at some point in time, they are going to go down, and they will be right. It's a mathematical certainty. But there's just so much volatility. There's so much unknown. Like, you could argue, like rates are going to go down because of these reasons. Rates are going to go up because of these reasons. I mean, we've been between 6 and 8%, for 2.5 years now. So I feel like my expectation is that they're going to stay between that. If they go down, that's a bonus.
Right. Budget for it. Just go in and budget for it.
Right. Exactly. Because the 5 Ds: diamonds, divorce, downsize, diapers, and death. 5 reasons why anybody would have to buy or sell real estate.
That's funny. I haven't heard that one.
That's a soundbite.
Diamonds, diapers, or diamonds, divorce, diapers, death, downsize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Huh. Now we know who to target.
Dude, I'm like, I know some people that literally will build their business around one of those Ds.
Totally.
I mean, like I said,
their mortgage business,
or whatever part, whether they're a real estate agent, whoever, because like if you target one of those, I mean, also too, like some of those Ds I mentioned, you can find on public records too. Right. Just saying. But
do you for your marketing strategy and your lead generation, do you have to do a lot of your own marketing? I mean, social media marketing is free, and like if you don't have a social media presence, then you're just like you're leaving a bunch of business on the table. But does your company have lead generation, like targeting metrics and things like that, or is it just online lead gen? What's that look like for you?
So like in our actual branch in Boston, we do have some of like our own lead gen systems. Now, I obviously work for a depository institution, right? But a lot of their physical locations are more in like the Southeast. So I don't have access to those, like other branches down that area do. But in terms of the social media piece, I do a lot of that myself. And, I think it just goes in line with, you got to be creative. You got to be different. You got to adjust in the market. So like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, Alex, did you know that you can buy a house without 20% down? It's like, that's like, everybody says that. And like, it's easy for me to say, Alex, you should buy a home and you shouldn't rent. It's so easy for me to say that, but data is the biggest thing. That's the proof is in the pudding, right? Like I had a client, and I actually did this social post maybe like a month or so ago. I had a client that bought Q1 of last year. Drake single family, $460K was the purchase price. And if he said, I want to wait for rates to come down, if he waited to 1 year later, rates are almost exactly the same as where they were. Now, if you go on Zillow, which we'll take that with a grain of salt, but it says his house is worth now 473, so 13K more. And that's not including, he did a ton of renovations, so it's not even including that. But if you say, all right, now he waited, and let's say he secured that same house for 473, that's now $88 more a month. So it's like, that's like a fact. That's not me saying, hey, you should buy and not rent. You know what I mean? Like on average, appreciation I read in Boston, they're predicting over the next 5 years is roughly 4 to 5% on average per year. So it's like, to show the statistics, like I said, I'm not, you like, at the end of the day, the best time to genuinely buy is when you're ready, because you'll always find a reason to buy real estate. You'll always find a reason not to buy real estate. But my job is obviously to show you all the data, show you the roadmap. And then from there, you're the captain. Like, you make the decision if right now is the time to buy, not to buy. So I'm very big on that. So you could call me a shitty sales agent, a shitty salesman. But like I said, I'm just very big on showing them the roadmap, and then us coming up with a plan from there.
Yeah. Well, I think that could make you a good salesman, because clients like to be the hero of their own story.
Of course. Yeah.
And so if you're giving them the information and giving them guidance, but they feel like they're the ones making, ultimately they are the ones making the decision. But them feeling empowered to do that can make you actually.
No, I know. I just don't like being called a salesman.
Yeah. Well, I actually had this, I don't know, call it an argument or whatever with my fiance recently, but she said something about car salesmen being slimy. And I was like, no. Salespeople help people. Like, and it was like, I was basically making the argument that all sales is helping people. And I'm like, do you drive a car, right? You need someone to help you through that.
Yeah.
So your car salesperson wasn't slimy. Like, they actually helped you get something that you needed. And I think Andy Elliott is a great follow, by the way, if you don't follow him.
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of goes in line with like, why do salespeople get a bad rep necessarily? Obviously it's different from industry to industries, because there's good eggs and there's bad eggs, and people focus on the bad eggs.
Sure. I think it's like that with a lot of industries.
Right. And that's why I feel like car industry in general, like, that's why they get that reputation, because there's good people and there's bad people.
You just need to be passionate about what you're selling.
Absolutely.
You just need to believe in your product, believe in your service, and the rest of it will just fall into place.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So, in terms of what were we talking about before? We kind of went off the beaten path. I'm trying to remember like what
we were. What are like products, incentives, things to help people?
That was like 10 minutes ago.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, it's interesting that you were forecasting they're saying the Boston market appreciation 4 or 5% per year. It's been interesting in Holyoke and Western Massachusetts. We've been seeing like 10, 12, 13% appreciation. I mean, just 3 years ago, 3 families were pushing 300 grand, and now 2 families are pushing 300 grand. Hot market, keep your eyes out for it. You're gonna have to take a trip out there one day. Bring your hiking boots. We got less restaurants, less
Berkshires,
clubs. More hills. No, we're not that far west. Although I do like that area. But anyway, so like, what are some opportunities for people that are trying to get in maybe some of these less competitive markets? Although all of our listings out there are still going over asking inside like 18 days on average. But what are some opportunities and packages that are available for first-time home buyers to help get them across the line?
So, and when you say that, you more referring to like down payment assistance or like getting funds. There's a lot of ways I can go with this. I actually had a closing yesterday, and I think that's a perfect example. First-time buyer, VA, 100% financing. The inspection didn't exactly go perfect. Buyer's agent negotiated $10,000 in closing cost credit. So they actually got a refund yesterday at closing for some of their EMD money. So they paid very, very minimal to buy that house. Like, I mean, VA loan is probably the best loan program out there. I mean, 0% down, 100%, or 0% down, 100% financing, no mortgage insurance.
You just have to be a veteran.
You have to be a veteran, but that's a great program. I'm their first time buyer, so I'm just like that immediately came because that happened yesterday where they paid minimal at closing. Now, obviously, we do offer several down payment assistance programs. Like Mass Housing has a bunch of programs. We have 2 of our own in-house down payment assistance programs, Home Zero, which is FHA, and FCM First, which is conventional. They're both our programs.
Can you talk about each one?
Yeah. I mean, I'll keep it more above level, but FCM First is conventional financing. You get 4% of either the purchase price or appraisal, whichever is less. So I had a couple that closed last year that they put 3% down, use that additional 1% to reduce closing costs prepaids. Okay. And then we have, and that goes, the down payment assistant money goes on as a second lien, like a majority of them do. And then Home Zero's FHA. So you get the 3.5% down, second lien. And that, you don't have to make a down payment, which is huge.
Yeah. So how do you qualify for that?
I'm trying to think the best way to answer. I mean, your standard, pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s.
Normal income, normal W-2s.
Yeah. I mean, like the hurdle to get approved for those is a lot lower. And what I mean by that is like, for example, for FHA, the debt to income is 55. It's 600 minimum FICO score, and you don't even need to be a first-time home buyer. It just has to be your primary residence. And that goes the same thing for FCM First, too. Primary residence, don't need to be a first-time home buyer, 50 max DTI. The Home Zero has no income limit on it, where FCM First is 120% AMI, which stands for area median income. In around Boston, that's like roughly 200,000. So it's just a lot higher of a bar to get underneath for a buyer.
Right.
And then
is that total household income?
No, this one. So Mass Housing, a lot of their programs go off a total household income, but this only goes off of who's on the application.
Got it.
And then like we offer once a year a grant program called Welcome Home. It's actually being offered right now, but it's like super specific. Like you have to be under contract. It has to be a 60+ day close. And then you have to, be under contract in order for them to reserve funds for you. You have to submit an application, but they don't guarantee that you're going to get it within 60 days. So it could be longer than 60 days too. So that's something that's a cool program, but I mean, we started offering it beginning of March, still being offered. I would suspect in the next week or two, they're going to say the funds are gone. Wow. That's usually how the grant programs work. You set aside a certain amount of funds. Once those are gone, they don't offer it until there's more funds again. So that's like a once a year thing. We do, I've definitely been seeing more people like wanting to request seller concessions in their offer or do like rate buy down programs that are paid for by the seller. So like requesting some seller credit in there, a lot of gifts from family members. It's tough. I mean, it seems like your average, person that's, we'll say late 20s, early 30s, in order to afford a home, they really need to have another person on the application. Now, obviously not everybody falls into that, of course, but you're on average, because I know we were just talking about this a little while ago that like your average first-time home buyer, I want to say top of my head is like 35.
I thought it was maybe closer to like 38. I could be wrong, but it's somewhere in that, like,
in the
somewhere in that
mid-30s.
range.
Yeah, in the mid-30s somewhere. So it's like that. And then your average second-time home buyer is mid-50s.
Wow.
Huh.
So it's like crazy because those numbers have obviously gone up over the last few years. So it's like, then there's like, I feel like condos have always been a good for like a first home, but like now they're like different things I'm reading. They're like, oh, like is a condo like solidified as like a first home for first time home buyers?
They said people are buying backyards for their pets, not their kids anymore.
That's sad.
Say that to somebody with 2 golden doodles.
You're sad.
Dude, they're hypoallergenic and they're super friendly and they're adorable.
They're great.
Oh, my buddy's
Kids
got a
are
golden doodle.
They're great. Kids are better.
Yeah, kids are pretty fun.
I have a question about FHA.
Let them ride the golden doodle.
Like an FHA loan. Can you do an FHA type of loan on a refinance? Not in the case example would be like, say, I know someone who's like bought buying a home with the intention of it being a primary residence, but maybe they bought it with like, private money loan or some sort of like, loan package that's outside of like loans that you deal with, right? And they renovated the property and now they want to move into it. But say it's like a refinance situation because they need to pay off this like short-term 12-month loan. Can you do like an FHA or like a type of loan like that that sort of situation?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Like, are they a first-time home buyer? Are they like, or what? Are they
say they're a first-time home buyer.
Or they own a ton of property.
Say it's a primary residence.
Yeah.
And they own it in their name, or maybe it's held in like a different single-purpose entity, but then they buy it in their name from their other entities. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But they don't own any other personal property, or they don't own any other property in their personal name.
Right. So the only thing that comes to mind, so like that all sounds good. It sounds like it would be doable, but their FHA does have a flipping rule. So you're not allowed to like flip a property really quick.
To yourself?
So
I'm talking about the property's done and you're buying it now, or you're refinancing it and now you're going to live in it.
And you've already owned it for a while.
A year.
Yeah. That I don't see that being a problem. The only reason why I was bringing up the flipping thing is because we have a cash buy before you sell program, keeping it kind of more above level. Basically, we get them fully underwritten and we're going with cash offers. We buy their next house in cash in an LLC and we hold on to it. And then when they sell their property, they pay us back. And we set up a mortgage. So it kind of avoids the whole home sale contingency thing because that's really, really tough right now getting an accepted offer. And one thing I know with that is that you cannot go FHA because we're buying the property in LLC and then selling it to them.
After they sell the home they live in?
Exactly. So that's a really cool program. I think it's most prevalent for move-up buyers, but I actually was talking to somebody on the way in today and they're looking to downsize actually, and they need a mortgage and they want to use the equity. And obviously, like I said, it's really, really hard. I mean, yeah, it's really hard getting a home sale, an offer accepted with a home sale contingency.
So say I'm a family of two. We have a condo in the city. We've lived there for a couple of years. Now I want to, I'm going to be a family of three, a kid on the way, want to buy a house in the suburbs. So I need to, but I'm going to sell my condo, buy a house in the suburbs. You'll buy that house in the suburbs in cash to allow me to sell my condo. And then after that's sold, you then sell the house that I'm buying in the suburbs back to me and I buy it from you. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially in a nutshell. Yeah. So that's a really cool, like I said,
things we're learning today.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And like we have like just like a straight cash buy program too, where somebody doesn't own a home and wants to buy a house in cash. Same concept. We fully underwrite it. No contingencies, 2 to 3 week close. And yeah. And then ideally we want the loan to close on the same day, but for whatever reason, if it didn't, we buy it cash and then they basically buy it off of us. So like, it's just, like I said, like I was mentioning earlier, our capital markets guy, Jeff Pantzer, is unbelievable. Like he's done a really good job of adding on like really funky, unique programs that you're not really seeing a lot out there. But like, obviously that is a huge help to some people in this market and who are, like I said, trying to buy their next home. Hey, diapers, that's one of the D's, remember?
Yeah. Jeff sounds like a stud. Wow. I've never heard of that before. Like that is really creative.
Yeah, I think a lot of things too these days is like doing things really quickly because like, doing things fast.
So what about people that have a hard time showing like conventional income? Like being self-employed and trying to get financed is like a big hurdle. What about people that, like I know at some point there was like people doing loan packages that were more like bank statement driven than like credit and W-2 driven. What's that like?
Yeah, so another big shout out to Jeff. So we have our own in-house non-QM product line. Non-QM stands for non-qualified mortgage program. So programs that aren't your Fannie Freddie. So like I've definitely been doing a lot of bank statement loan programs, whether it's 12 or 24 months. Like we got their business and personal accounts. And we literally look at the deposits and withdrawals going in and out of their account on a month-to-month basis to qualify them. So if you are writing off a lot on your taxes, this is, I don't even know if I want to say a workaround, but a solution.
Yeah.
We also have a profit and loss statement program where we get a P&L program, or sorry, a P&L statement, and it's signed off by your CPA. We can use that to qualify you. We have an ITIN loan program. We have I don't know how familiar you guys are with DSCR loans, but I feel like outside of the VA loan, that's like the second most underrated loan program in my opinion.
Yeah, DSC loans are great.
Tell the world what that is.
All right. So DSCR, debt service coverage ratio, investor only 1 to 4 units. All we look at is the cash flow on the property, the credit score, and assets. So like there's no income looked at, no DTI, no employment looked at. If they own, let's say they own 5 other properties, traditionally you need, mortgage statement, tax bill, insurance, lease, taxes, blah, blah, blah. And so all we need is just the mortgage statement.
The ba.
Exactly.
With the mortgage statement
For each of those properties, that's all we need.
Okay.
Just to like, make sure we, cross our T's, dot our I's with like what property goes to
mortgage
which
statements for other properties if the investor owns other properties.
Yeah, if he owns 5 other properties, 5 mortgage statements. That's it. We
Got
don't
it.
need all that other stuff. So basically, the benefits, we can do 20% down on an investment multi, not 25. We can lend directly into an LLC. And, some people too, like in terms of like, even getting a hard money loan, then you want to stabilize the property. There's fixed rates. We have a 40-year mortgage option for this as well.
DSCR loans?
Yeah, interest only.
1 to 4 40-year loans.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like we got a lot of.
We might have a property for you.
Yeah, we do.
So like I did about 12 of them last year, and I've done 1 already this year. So like I love DSCR loans, and like that client of mine who, like I said, we did the equity strategy, pulled money out, used that money to buy a 3-family in Fitchburg, 20% down DSCR loan. It's also tough too, because like now he's trying to qualify for 3 mortgages. So it can be really tough to qualify with the debt to income, but obviously we don't look at that with DSCR.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We're gonna have a conversation offline. We have a partner in a deal, and we got a 3-family that we own outright, and we want to we've held it for a while, improve the rents, done some property improvements, and now with that partner, basically want to take out some cash and then take 20% down on this property, and take it from 1 to kind of like 5, and just all in that kind of 1 to 4. Really that 2, 3, 4. Multifamily space. That's really cool.
Yeah, we also too, shout out to Jeff again, DSCR HELOC we now have too. So a second lien as well.
Nice.
So between the 2 of them, dynamite.
Yeah.
What do your HELOCs go up to?
It depends. Like, so for example, primary residence, we go up to 90 CLTV. We have a renovation HELOC where best case scenario on a primary, we can go up to 95% CLTV using the after repair value.
Wow.
And then like we offer like for secondary and investment properties too, which most lenders don't. Those are more like 70, 75. I actually do have one right now where we're actually doing a bank statement loan HELOC for somebody who wanted to do renovations. And on that particular scenario, we're able to go up to 80.
Huh.
Is there any like debt to income considered in a HELOC?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're all state income, but like
okay.
DSCR obviously isn't.
Right.
But all the other ones, we're using like stated income to qualify them. But
Gotcha.
in this situation, this guy's self-employed and doesn't show a lot on paper. So to be able to do a bank statement loan HELOC is different.
Right.
Totally. That's very creative.
And dude, like I said, you got to be creative in this market.
Yeah.
If you're doing something you were doing even in the last couple of years, like you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. These did not exist a couple years ago.
We're gonna have a couple deals for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a podcast.
on a HELOC, say you own, $400,000 on a house that's worth $700,000, and your HELOC goes up to, let's just say 75%. of existing.
What are you gonna make me get my calculator?
Yeah,
out now?
I'm trying to do this math in my head, and I'm like,
Dude.
I'm fucking it up. I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Big numbers, round numbers.
Let's just say I'm gonna make up the numbers. Say the HELOC gets approved. Like, oh, we can loan you up to $100,000 on this HELOC.
Okay.
But say whatever you want to use it for is like only going to cost half of that. You can draw on it, right? And you don't have to max out your HELOC. Or
Yeah, it's almost like a credit card where like you only pay for what you use. So if you had a 200K HELOC, used 100K, you're paying on the 100. You're not paying on the additional 100 that you have.
So this is really cool and creative because I think this is how a lot of people are going to build those ADUs.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, how do you create, activity, and how do you help the housing market in a market where there's just not a lot of home sales right now, but equity is at an all-time high on average per household.
Yeah.
So like figuring out ways to tap into equity, and then like forward thinking here. All right, you have that equity line, right? And now whatever it is, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, like at some point rates are going to go down. Then you can consolidate it into one mortgage too, or even take out more money.
Right.
So it's like, I think that there's also too, like, and I get this sometimes too, like, oh my God, 30 years, 360 payments at this payment. It's like, yes, that is your payment right now, but you have to shift your mindset that that's a temporary monthly payment. You're only paying that for right now. The chances of you having this property in 30 years, let alone or I should say the other way around, having the mortgage in 30 years, let alone the property in 30 years, is probably a 0.00% chance.
Yeah.
So like being able to realize like, hey, this is a temporary monthly payment and I'm going to be able to lower this monthly payment. Also, this is going to appreciate. So I'm going to be able to pull money out. If this is an investment property, the rents on average go up over time. So like those are only going to get better, the numbers. So I think if you have a more long-term looking mindset in that sense, then, it just like, strategy wise, it makes more sense. And I think also gets rid of some of the nerves as well. Cause there's obviously so much misleading. There's good information online, but there's also so much misleading information. So if you have fears and want to find stuff online that back up your fears, you'll find it. If you want,
Totally.
So that's where I go back to, if the best time to buy is when you're ready to buy.
Yeah. Another question on HELOCs. Say you're approved for up to 100,000 on the HELOC, but you only want to use 50. How do you have to submit like, oh, I want to use like I'm using this to pay off this other loan, or I'm using this for home renovations, or do you have to like send an invoice or some sort of proof of use? Or can you just say, hey, send me a check for $50,000. I want to use $50,000.
So no, you don't necessarily, like, for example, like I had one close the other day and they, did some debt consolidation, took out money for home improvements, and there's no like proof necessarily we need on that.
So you just get a check up front?
Yeah, we wire the money to them at closing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then usually I always recommend to take out a little bit more than what you need, because obviously, especially if it's renovations, it's probably going to take longer and be more than you think.
That never happens.
And then it's always good to like have a little bit of a buffer just in case. 'Cause like I said, you don't use it, you're not paying for it anyways. So it's always nice to have a little bit more than not, because then you got to dip into your pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing, dude. Congratulations on making all these waves. You sound super smart and driven and intelligent, and you're just crushing it, man.
Trying.
Wow.
At least glass half full.
Hey.
Well, my glass isn't full at all. I'm already done.
I'm
always
parched.
It's always half full.
Thanks, WeWork.
This WeWork looks very successful. This is a nice office, dude.
Dude, they have a roof deck too.
No way.
I'll show you. I'll show you after this podcast here.
Dude, that's amazing.
You got a nice little view of the TD Garden.
And is this your, so the branch of First Community Mortgage has their office here?
Yep, exactly. One of those back rooms. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I've been, like I said at the beginning, I've been at this location. Well, since I started in loan origination, we've been working out of this office in 2019.
Got it.
Yep.
Sick, man. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. I think a lot of people that watch this are going to get some incredible insight, and I think this is going to bring you deals.
Hey, I mean, my goal is to help people at the end of the day. So if I do that, even if somebody doesn't come to me, but they've learned something, that's a win.
Yeah, I got a couple friends out in Western Massachusetts that are looking to, get in their first home. So I'm going to send them your way.
Let's do it.
That's awesome.
Thanks brother.
Thanks for coming
David.
on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for
This
having
was awesome.
me.
Everybody, please smash that like button, subscribe. Hey, let them know where they can find you online.
Yeah, so Instagram, I mean, my name is David Johnson. So like I said, got to be creative. So DJ the Mortgage Man.
Let's go.
Is Instagram. And then, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, just my name, David Johnson. Then, I mean, obviously there's only one or two of them, as you can imagine.
That's super unique.
Look up First Community Mortgage, David Johnson. I'll pop right up.
We'll put all your socials on the YouTube channel for anybody that wants to follow you. And
What do
stuff
you
like
think
that.
though? David Johnson or Joe Smith? How many more of them do you think there are?
Dude, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about how DJ, the mortgage bro, you need to
Man.
Yeah, man, bro. You should lean into that. You already said you like EDM to work. Maybe that's your, maybe that's a viral video trend.
Oh, like a little
Yeah. You're spinning these mortgage rates. All right, that's cheesy. All right, thanks for showing up, dude. This was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man.
All right, peace, love. God bless you all. Ciao.